Well, hey kids, Rio here. Welcome back to the channel. Yes, I realize today is not Wednesday, but I had to do this for you guys. Today we're talking about the Toxic Avenger. Okay, no, not this one. This is the original Toxic Avenger. If you've seen the original one, then you already know that there is a new version of this that just came out. Now, technically speaking, this thing was made in 2023. Now, a lot of you have probably heard all of the, the lore that goes with this particular movie, being distributed by, well, a lot of places. Cineverse, Legendary Pictures was involved. There's a lot that's going on there, okay? And of course, you all know it was supposed to come out a while ago, and then it didn't come out, and then the MPAA was weird about rating it, and then they wouldn't release it at all, and well, now, cut to this week. And this week, they have just released the unrated. Now, please understand that unrated doesn't mean there's something horribly wrong with what you're going to see on the screen. What this means is that the MPAA basically refused to rate it. And so it does not have an official age rating, okay? So PG, PG-13, NC-17, right? Whatever. It doesn't have one of those, okay? But do not let that stop you from seeing The Toxic Avenger. This thing is on a limited run, okay? It's only running in our local theater for a week. And they were only showing it at 10 o'clock at night because of it being unrated. So I was very fortunate to get into the second screening of the week on Saturday. Now, of course, if you're familiar with the original Toxic Avenger, you know that this is the first superhero from New Jersey. This was the flagship film for the legendary Trauma team. And, of course, the legendary Uncle Lloyd Kaufman, and Michael Hers, who founded the company and have since put out multitudes of movies. Class of Nukem High, and Terra Firma, Romeo and Juliet, lots of stuff. And of course, most recently, Shakespeare Shitstorm, that just came out. So we all know Trauma. If you're familiar with their aesthetic, then that makes this review a lot easier. Okay, so assuming you're not familiar with the Toxic Avenger, let's do a brief summary of the story. In the original, our poor hero, Melvin, who is just this poor little put-upon little nerd, who is like the mop boy in a health club. And all the jocks and sportos don't like him very much, and through a series of unfortunate events, he ends up being exposed to nuclear waste. And this nuclear waste turns him into the superhero of the Toxic Avenger. So in this new sort of take on Toxie, our hero, our hapless hero, is Winston Goose. And Winston works for the local chemical conglomerate. And of course, they are the bad guys in this movie. As per the usual kind of statement that Trauma films try to make, right? They try to sort of make some kind of a thing. In this case, this poor guy is, he's taking care of his stepson because his wife has passed away from cancer. And then we find out he has cancer. And all these things are happening. And this poor guy gets wrapped up in stuff that has nothing to do with him. And ta-da, he gets exposed to the toxic waste and he becomes the Toxic Avenger. Pretty straightforward. Very similar to the original story. Now, what you have happening here, though, is it's a little bit different. They've updated the crises, right? So opposed to it just being some poor nerd working in a health club, this is a grown man with grown man problems. And it's, he's very likable. You have a lot of empathy for him. And it's very important because if you don't like Melvin, right? If you don't like Winston, you're not going to like Toxie. So they were very good about that. I've always said this about superheroes. If you don't like Clark Kent, you're not going to like Superman. Right? So it's very important to cast the right person to play the hero, the alter ego, the normal person, so that you can have love and empathy for the hero. Well, they did not fail in this case because, as many of you are probably aware by now, of course, Winston / Toxie are being played by Peter Dinklage. And if I have to tell you who Peter Dinklage is, then I really can't help you. He is extraordinary in this. I love the way he's playing Winston, right? It's not the hapless nerd. He's just this poor guy. You just love this man. I've never seen Peter play a character like this. I've never seen him play a character like this, and I was really, really impressed with him throughout this whole thing. We already know he's an extraordinary actor, but this is just another feather in this man's cap. I think he was fantastic in this. Now, one thing that's important to remember is that this is a special effects film, okay? When we go from Winston to Toxie, it is still Peter Dinklage doing the voice. He's still acting as Toxie, but he is not the one that's in the makeup and the costume. And I think it's very important that I call out the name of the actor who is in the makeup and costume, because she is extraordinary. Her name is Luisa Guerrero. She is a professional motion capture performer, a master puppeteer. She has some association with Cirque du Soleil. She actually studied at the University of London, the Royal Central School of Speech and Performance. This woman has a serious resume. Okay, a serious resume. She is the one who was physically performing as Toxie. And she's good. You don't really tell the difference, at all. You do not see the difference. It is seamless. The way that whatever process they used for it to be both Peter and her in that same moment, they really work together well. Absolute thumbs up there. Speaking of special effects, let's talk about that for a minute. Oh boy, millions of names are listed. They did in fact do mostly practicals on this. Sort of kept that trauma aesthetic, which I always, you have to respect that. But it's really hard for me to nail down any one in particular, and this person did, I really don't know. Looks like they did a lot of filming in Bulgaria, so there's boatloads of teams that worked on things. One thing I did find a lot of, seemed to be a regular reference in the IMDb listing, was a company called Millennium FX. My God, their listings are ginormous. I can't even begin to go through their list in any way. They've done movies, they've done television, they've done theater, they've done all kinds of things. But I will throw a couple things at you just for Doctor Who, Fantastic Fear of Everything, Ex Machina, From Hell, Saving Private Ryan. These guys have literally worked on Pick Something. Their group was involved somehow. Okay, Millennium FX they're an effects warehouse. It's based out of the UK. The work in this is really good. It keeps the aesthetic. So you have that kind of cartoon violence, but it's really good stuff. Honestly, I wish there was more of it. There's not as much gore as there would have been in the original. If you've seen the original one, you know how kind of gross that one gets, right? It doesn't quite do that in this one. You do get significant sequences of that kind of cartoon gore, but not to the extent the original did. And I think that's probably for the best, honestly. Okay, let me step back real quick and let's talk about sort of the behind the camera people. So the director is Macon Blair. Macon Blair has a number of credits to his name. He's also a big Toxie fan. My understanding is that he actually petitioned to be the one to do this film. So, yeah, good for him. He obviously understood the assignment. He's also an actor, has done a bunch of other stuff as well. The writing on the film, Macon Blair is the one that basically assembled the script. He's the one that put this together for the most part. Although, of course, we do have credits to Lloyd Kaufman and to Joe Ritter, who actually created the characters initially. I don't know that they specifically worked on this version, if they were part of the script or if they advised on it or whatever. But we know that Joe Ritter was the writer on pretty much all of the previous Toxie incarnations up until now. And including the newest sort of companion film, which I haven't seen yet, but I want to, is Mr. Melvin. He was the writer on that as well. The original score, there's a lot to talk about with the score, but let's start with original score. So the original score is actually done by Brooke Blair and Will Blair. And yes, you heard the name, Macon Blair. These are his brothers. His younger brothers, I believe. And they've all worked together on other projects that Macon has done. This is actually including Blue Ruin and I Don't Feel at Home on This World Anymore, which are previous films that were directed and written by Macon Blair, and his brothers also did the music for those. So they've obviously worked together for a while, and they also understood the assignment. One of the other things in the music to think about as well is there's a lot of music cues that come back to the original Toxie. Some of them are obvious, some of them are subtle. We're going to get into callbacks and Easter eggs here in a little bit, but let me go a little bit more through our behind-the-scenes crew. So our DP is Dana Gonzalez. Quite a few credits for him. But specifically, of course, he's done some episodes of the new series Alien Earth, if anyone's watching that. And the TV series of Fargo that was on FX. And actually a few episodes of The Handmaid's Tale as well. So he's definitely got some work behind him. A whole lot of other credits as well. Those are just kind of the things that stood out to me. So definitely a guy that knows what he's doing. I love a lot of the stuff, the way he shot a lot of these things. So many moments I feel just like the original film. Yeah, but I digress. So, no Toxic Avenger film is going to be good without a villain, right? Mustache twirling. Those are the kind of villains you have in these kind of films, and they don't fail on this one. Our villain is Bob Garbinger. Yeah, you can play with that pun all you want. Bob Garbinger, who owns this big BTH, this chemical warehouse, played by Kevin Bacon. And again, if I have to tell you who Kevin Bacon is, then I really can't help you. He's great in this. Kevin Bacon kind of tends to be good in everything, right? But he was really, really good in this. Like, he had himself way too much fun, I think. Total mustache twirling villain. Standard trauma villain. Fantastic. And we can't forget his brother. This is an important character in the movie. One of his main henchmen is Bob's brother, Fritz. One of my favorite character designs, I think, in the whole thing. It looks very simple, but yet it's probably a very complex makeup to do. Especially when you realize who's wearing it. Fritz is being played by Elijah Wood. And if I have to tell you who Elijah Wood is, I can't help you. But you know it's him only because of his eyes, because you can't escape Elijah Wood's big baby doll eyes. But it's an amazing design. It looks so simple, but I'm sure it took hours to put it on, and I love the way he plays it, and I love the way it works on the screen next to all these other crazy characters that are on this thing, and we'll get to them in a minute as well. Our final major character is JJ, who is a investigative reporter who's going after this chemical company, and she's being played by Taylor Page. You probably know her name. She was a professional ballerina, was actually was mentored by the legendary Debbie Allen. As a dancer. But she has also appeared in the A24 film Zola. And if you saw the Netflix special, which is one of my favorite things, actually, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, she's in that as well. And a bunch of other things. She's really good in this. She's kind of the straight person, but not really. So she's the traveling companion with Toxie. And they have a really great dynamic, a really great chemistry between them. I love the way their timing is solid. Oh, and of course we have Winston's son, who is throughout the film. He's not just a throwaway. He's in the film the whole time. He's being played by Jacob Tremblay, and I know the name. He's mainly a voice actor. He's done some live action stuff, lots of video games, things like that. But I know him. He was the main character in the animated film Luca. He did that voice. But he's in a lot of video games and stuff like that. I think Baldur's Gate, a bunch of other ones, right? So yeah, he's got a really great career. I don't know if it's the first time I've ever seen him actually on camera. But I like the way he plays the character. There's certain quirks that they gave him that... I'm trying not to give you spoilers, guys, but I really liked him in this role. Okay, so here's what it comes down to. I really didn't know what I was going to think of this film. Okay? And I suppose, full disclosure, I know Uncle Lloydie. I've worked on and off with Trauma on the Trauma Team projects over the years. And I always try to see him when he's in town for conventions and stuff, and he remembers me, and we always talk. I love the guy. I've actually attended one of his Make Your Own Damn Movie seminars a few years back, and was very helpful. So keeping in mind that I will pay Uncle Lloydie's mortgage by putting money into any of his projects. All of that being said, though, I wasn't sure what I was going to think of this, but I got to tell you something. It's really good. It's this is not your mother's Toxie, okay? A lot of the really extremely offensive stuff, because if you've seen the original, you know, a lot of that stuff isn't there. But that's because our villains have a different motivation. It's a different situation. It's an adult man with adult problems who ends up becoming a Toxic Avenger. And it's not as silly. A lot of the campiness is not there. There is comedy, of course, but the extreme camp, like, I really thought they were going to go completely off the deep end with that, and they didn't. They did take the movie seriously. And it's a really good story, and you like the characters, but you know it's a trauma film. There's so many indicators of a trauma film. Like the things where you hear these voices yelling off camera that have nothing to do with anything, right? You know, yeah, you suck, right? And you don't know who it's coming from. It doesn't matter. It's like the way they would fake a crowd behind camera, right? You got that stuff going on. You have all of the henchmen. All of these henchmen are standard Troma side characters. Okay. There's got to be a million cameos in this thing and things I didn't recognize, of people that I didn't know who they were at the time. It's Tromaville all the way, but they don't call it that. Keep that in mind. There are Easter eggs everywhere. If you're familiar with the Tromaverse, you're familiar with their various movies and stuff like that, there are running Easter eggs. Specifically, they'll show the newscasters that are like reporting on the monster hero, right? There's a little news crawl. Go about it. Read the news crawl. If you have it at home and got to pause it, read the news crawl. The news crawl is hysterical. It's its own comedy going on right there. I probably should have looked up who played the two news reporters because they were brilliant. They were really, really funny. If anybody remembers the two twins, the twin boys that usually do that in a lot of the Troma films. Well, these two, it was a man and a woman that were doing it, and they were great. They were really, really brilliant. Everything Troma is in this movie. Guys, I recommend all the way. And because it's a limited run, if you want to see it, you better try to see it soon. My local theater is going to be dumping it in 3 more days, and then it's gone. So you might want to check local theater, see if you can find it. Of course, I'm pretty sure it'll be available on Blu-ray pretty quickly. You can always go to the Troma website, like Troma.com. They may even make it available on their streaming channel, which is Troma Now. You might be able to find it that way eventually. Because I know they're already working on something new. They're working on Poltergeist 2, which I don't know think about Poltergeist 2. The original Poltergeist was a nightmare. To sum up, yes, I love the monster hero. This was a really great take on it. I think it updated nicely. It kind of kept just enough of the DIY sensibility to feel like a Troma film, but Troma with real money is basically the way I described it when I walked out of the theater. This is a Troma film made with real money, because Troma never has real money. I think you guys will like it. Even if you're not familiar with the original Toxic Avenger, I think you can get into this one, because it gives you everything you need. It's not like, 50 years of DC Comics where you got to catch up. No. Just watch the movie, you're fine. If you are familiar with the original Toxie, and you've been wondering if this thing is worth watching, it is worth watching. They took it seriously. They told a great story. The performances are amazing. So many Easter eggs, both in the score and in, the backgrounds. Look at everything. Because I probably didn't find everything. But there were tons. Tons of callbacks. Tons of references. It's worth it, kids. It's absolutely worth seeing. Rating system. Okay, since it's a brand new movie, we will do a rating system. We'll be doing 1 through 5, with 5 being the absolute best. I'm going to give this a 4. Only because some people might be purists about the original, right? Meh. Getting a perfect 5 is really hard to get, right? So we're going to go with a 4, just because. But I really think it's worth seeing, and I think you guys should try to see it in the theater while you still can. That is the important part, is to try to see it in the theater while you still can. Support Troma, support independent film, and help pay Uncle Lloydie's mortgage. He's an old man. Come on, help the guy out. All right, kids, that's it for me for this time. Hopefully I'll be back with some more film reviews later on. If you want to kind of join in for this kind of stuff, there's a like and subscribe button down here on the bottom someplace. You can join up and you'll get notifications when all my new stuff comes up and whatever weirdness I decide to do, because you never know around here. All right, kids, I'll see everybody next time. Bye! Hey guys, I almost forgot. There's a post-credit scene. Don't leave before the credits are over. It's important.